can't help myself, folks. We've just come up the road here now. In behind Falls Creek on the road to Pretty Valley. You get down to the actual boundary gate between the Alpine Resort and the National Park, and you can turn right and you can head to Mount Mackay. And that's exactly what we're doing now. So there's a couple of things I want to show you in this video. Firstly, I mean, how glorious is that country out there, right? Have a look at it. All right, over the back there, the niggerheads round the right hand side, we're getting over towards Faina. Right over the back in the V in the middle of the screen, you can start to see a little bit of possibly feather-top razorback area, right? The high tops out there that are nice and exposed Brumby country. You've all seen me out there amongst the mobs, right? Look how steep it is down here, all through this country, okay? It's basalt country, we've told you that. Now, right in the middle of your screen here is the outflow from Pretty Valley, right? So that's Pretty Valley Creek, and it comes down to all of those rocks, and at the bottom of this gully it breaks to the west and it flows on down and gets joined by the likes of Tawonga, Huts Creek and whatnot, and it goes around underneath Mount Mackay and flows down underneath the Fainter and eventually joins into and becomes the East Kiwa River around Bogong village. So out in the middle of that V, and I'm not sure if you can see it, right up the back against the edge, there we go, you've got that nice silvery blue in the top left. That's Pretty Valley Pondage where it's been dammed up, and it comes down. You can see the road that comes down the side of that, and we get to some man-made infrastructure on the creek that's to do with the hydroelectric scheme. Okay, so you know, man's footprint is up here everywhere. It's stark, it's not natural to the environment, and yet, you know, a handful of brumbies are apparently an issue. That country there's home to a hell of a lot of deer. It's very hard to find them. You can see it's rugged country, it's timbered country. There's lots of places for them to shelter and hide. Around here to the left you can start to see another little fen system there flowing back up into Pretty Valley. That's been cut by a man-made road that goes in, and of course it gets over to this end where it drops down the steep edges to join Pretty Valley Creek, and it becomes timbered country again. Let's go around here across the road. Now this road's been made by big heavy machinery, graders, dozers, you name it, right? And in cutting that you can see here that there's a man-made drain to the edge of the road. Lo and behold, because of the nature of our high country, and in fact the nature of the Australian bush and its resilience and its reliance on things like fire to regenerate amongst other things, we have mosses. So man-made drains in the high country have become moss beds. Now, the mosses had to have come from somewhere, so they may have existed when what was up there continued on its line, natural line, across to that side of the road, and in us moving the dirts around and breaking it all up, they've just set spores down here in the ground, and off they go in a nice little spot that holds moisture. And you can see that it flows up here to about the top of the drain, but once we get back out over here, the mosses don't exist anymore. So we're going to gently step over that, because again we have some lovely ferns growing in soils that are stuck between the cracks in the basalt. And again over there we have alpine daisies, we have native orchids as well. So I put it to you people, even when man-made machinery drives through the high country, displaces huge amounts of soil and rock to create roadways, the environment persists, the biosphere persists, the ecosystem persists. So if multiple heavy dozers and graders can cause that scar, and yet all of this still persists, and have a look at this, have a look how magnificent and glorious this is, people. Just have a look at it clinging to the rocks. Rocks carved out by man. Rocks damaged and destroyed by heavy machinery. Seeps that feed down through these rocks and drip and drip and drip and feed all of your mosses and your ferns and your alpine daisies. How the hell can these scientists turn around and tell us that it's the horses destroying the environment, the ecosystem, the biosphere? Look at it. It's everywhere. It's healthy, it's alive, it's thriving, it does what nature does, even when mankind does his best to destroy it. Horses' problem? Don't believe it. I'll never believe it. And just to show you that it wasn't a fluke, have a look. Down here, in the drain, and up the face of what was carved out by mankind and his heavy machinery. It's lies, people, it's bullshit, people. The horses need to remain. They're part of our heritage, they're part of our culture. They were born here. They've lived here their entire lives. They don't make roadways like this. And yet, the ecosystem survives.